We talk about investing in stocks and in bonds and in real estate, but if we've learned anything over the years, it's that there is an investor appetite for everything, and that includes rare footwear. If you're a sneakerhead, you'll be hard-pressed to find a collection that resembles that of the Canadian entrepreneur Miles Nadal. Over the years, he has picked up hundreds of pairs of rare shoes, such as the first Air Jordans, autographed by the icon himself. Remember the self-lacing Air Mags designed to look like Marty McFly sneakers in Back to the Future Part 2? Those are in the collection as well, which, by the way, only makes up part of Nadal's collection. He is also a rare car collector. There are Lamborghinis and Ferraris and McLarens, even an electric vehicle that is more than 100 years old. And after all of that time curating his collection, Nadal has decided to auction it all off for charity, and he joins us here in studio. Nice to see you.
It's great to be here.
First of all, how does one amass a sneaker empire as the one that you have?
Well, we did it one collection at a time. It, as Maria Pappas, who heads up our operation, said, and Shango, it takes a small village to curate it. I was bored one day sitting at my college, Muskoka. I bought something called the Ultimate Sneaker Collection from Sotheby's. It was 100 of the most iconic sneakers, including the waffle shoe, which was really recognized as Bill Bowerman, the co-founder of Nike. And then from there, I hired a guy, and his job was to go around the world and find sneakers.
And did you see an investing opportunity in this, the way people see investing opportunities in stocks?
I think that luxury items are an investment you make with your heart, whether it's art or sneakers or collectibles or watches or cars or even luxury real estate. These are emotional investments. The unintended consequence is alternative assets have appreciated substantially over many years.
It's been incredible to watch. And by the way, you often hear about partnerships in business, but there are partnerships in sneakers as well. Actually, you brought some of the shoes that are up for auction, and we can show a shot of a couple of pairs, which one seems to be a Nike collaboration with Dior. One seems to be a Nike collaboration with Tiffany. I didn't realize that you saw so many luxury brands teaming up with footwear players, but then that creates a different genre of footwear?
You're very astute. So in 2019, when I started, the collector sneaker market was about $1 billion market. It's now about a $4 billion market. They think it'll be a $30 billion market by 2030. What's happened now is it went from the urban market and kids that were sneakerheads to now you can't think of a luxury fashion brand, excuse me, that's not in the sneaker and apparel business. Whether it's Louis Vuitton or Prada or Gucci or any of the other LVMH brands. And so it has become a recognized fashion item. I think that most women I know, between 1/3 and 50% of their footwear is now sneakers.
Is sneakers. So growing market, higher end growing market as well. We referenced it's not just shoes in your collection. You've got a lot of cars as well. How by comparison, how did that collection grow? What was the genesis of that?
Well, I think I've only been a sneaker collector for 4 or 5 years, of which some of it was during the COVID.
Yeah.
But I've been collecting cars for 25 or 30 years. I think we have about 175 cars and other vehicles. I'm keeping 25 of those. I'm keeping about 100 pair of sneakers. But it's time to simplify because the labor of love has become a lot of labor.
That's what I was going to ask you, because when we see video like this of the car collection, it makes me think of Jay Leno's garage. I still see Leno out there working on the vehicles. Do you have to find the parts? Do you have
So he's a great friend of mine, and he and Ralph Lauren were two of my inspirations for building the collection. But Jay's remarkably capable to fix, fabricate, and manufacture anything for any of his cars. And he loves to be underneath the cars. That's not me. And so the challenge that I have had is we have like 6 people who deal with it. But, you know, when we started off with 2 cars and then 5 cars and then 10 cars and then 20 cars, then all of a sudden it's become a huge operation. And there's never a time when there's not 5 to 20 things that need repair, fabrication, et cetera. So I'm 66 years of age. I kind of want to enjoy the fruits of my labor and try and make the world a better place.
I'm sure some people would say that's a fun problem to have, but we understand. Okay, so now the auction process begins. So tell us a little bit more about
May
this.
31st, June 1st. It's both live at our museum, and we'll probably have 500 people there, but tons of people coming in from around the world. It'll be the largest auction ever done by Sotheby's of a single name owner. And nobody's ever done sneakers and cars together. So it'll be live for 3 days, online both during that 3 days and beyond, because we got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I guess beyond just the checkbook, any tips for people who might be newer to these markets, the things you've learned, whether it's the car care, things that people have to consider if they're moving to these collectible areas?
At this point in my life, I have simplified it down to, is it something I will drive on an ongoing basis? Otherwise, I'm not doing it. In the case of the sneakers, the ones we were auctioning were never things I would wear. I own 100 pair of sneakers. I did something really smart. I got my daughters and stepdaughters and my wife into it. So I said, you go buy sneakers. And so they think sneakers are the coolest things. If you show them a $5 million Ferrari, they're like, okay, whatever. But the sneakers, because they have been emotionally invested in it. So I think all of these things are things you should do because you love it. You know, I think the unintended consequence is, if you look at car collecting of great classic cars, they probably appreciated 7 to 12% compounded over the last 25 years, especially if you have unique, limited edition, rare classic cars. And the ones that have appreciated the most are the supercars, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, the Aston Martins, the Maseratis, the McLarens. Those have been the most appreciative. Because now the young audience is very interested in the supercar.